Years ago, I had done Dungeon in a Box using like an old, sorry, let me get this out of the way, an old postal box that had been used already, and instead of recycling, I made a stone like chamber for a tabletop RPG. And you know, it ended up being a lot heavier than anticipated. And I guess like my tutorial, people were like, it's too heavy, blah blah blah. So can I do, because I did like plaster and cardboard and just all sorts of things, and then the paint and everything on top of that. So could I do something similar that would be like strong enough to use over and over again, possibly for, you know, to keep, like to store, to keep, whatever, over a long period of time, and be strong enough to use over and over again. So like a lot of people have Dragon Lock or Dwarven Forge or whatever, like the exterior walls. I'm not going to work on the walls for tonight. I'm just going to work on different like types of flooring and using a technique that I've taught for decades now in the dollhouse world, but trying to bring it over into my tabletop gaming. So I just went to like not the local hardware store, but like the big the big like Home Depot, Lowe's type stores, and got, this is 1/4 inch thick, 2.5 by 12, well, it's 2.5 inches wide. It was like a big long piece, and it's just from the wood pile, like where you get the molding and things like that, just the wood pile, generalized wood pile. Then if you don't have a saw, it's no big deal, because like they literally offer you a free saw, so you can like chop up your pieces, and as long as you bring the as long as one of your pieces has a barcode on it, they charge you by the foot. So in those places. So yeah, so I just did a couple of them. I did like a different design on the other side to show you like a different type of thing that you could do. You know, if you're not feeling strong enough to like, or confident enough to draw it out yourself. I did do like a stencil one, and I've got just some dungeon tiles that are 1 inch, like a 1 inch grid that I did just with a ruler, and I used a 1 inch. So I used this ruler, which is exactly 1 inch thick. So I was able to just like lay it down and just draw my line on either side, and instead of measuring and measuring. So I've got a sewer one I'm gonna do. I've got a lava one I'm gonna do. I've got a 1 inch tile that I'm gonna do. I also have this one, which is like a Starfinder design. And what's nice is like I'll go through one, set it aside to set up. By the time I get through the fourth one, the fourth type of design, this should be dry and I could possibly paint it. So that's what I'm working on today. But like you can do this on, like you don't have to do this for tabletop gaming. You can do this on like picture frames. You could do this on like so many of the things. So like all you need is a hot glue gun that has a low temperature setting. Like if it has a high or a low, high and a low choice, like a little, like it has like a little switch here. You want to keep it on low, because high is going to be too liquidy for what we're going to do. So if you're looking for this, if you're a Starfinder player and you want this kind of metal grate looking thing, all this is a 3/8 3/8" honeycomb stencil. So like just look for a honeycomb stencil that has 3/8 of an inch little holes. You know, they're like little six-sided. It's basically a D12. So you just, that's all you need. Mine was actually a walnut one that was like laser cut. Because I chose that because it kind of gave me like these nice kind of grout lines. So that's what my stencil looks like. And you just lay it down and you, like I literally just rocked the pencil right through the pattern, and it was done in like 5 minutes maybe, not even. Alright, so what I do is, because I am like, I have a rickety right hand. My mother affectionately calls it crap hand. I have to use both hands when utilizing my glue guns. I'm just going to like pick one of these. I'm going to put these aside because these are the ones I'm going to use for my own campaign. I can do those at my leisure. Okay, so these thin lines. So I've got the 1-inch grid. Then I've got like some space in between. You can see that space in between the 1-inch grids. So I'm going to put my sculpt on these bits, like not touching them. So I'm going to do like this side, skip one, go through, and then go back and do the other ones. So what I use is a KitchenAid, one of those little cuff type oven mitts. That way I can actually hold my glue gun nozzle like straight up and down, not feel the hot, you know, the heat of it, and control it and kind of guide it through. So I did go ahead and complete my army of dungeon tiles. So on camera, you saw me take the dark and the medium gray and smudge it on, and then that created this crazy texture on the top. So when I took my super light gray and just dry brushed it over the top, it grabbed on to just certain spots, and that's what gives it the highlight. So this is will just be the floor. Yeah, you can use this with cardboard. You don't have to use wood. I mean, I used the cheapest wood that's available at the Home Depot. Also, because I plan on doing walls, but I will do, so someone asked me, could I do Dungeon in a Box again, but on my Twitch channel, and absolutely I could do that. And Dungeon in a Box is just when I take a old shipping box and create an entire dungeon chamber using different techniques, using like to make like a faux wood, a faux stone, a faux tile, like a faux brick, just all sorts of things. But I did want to kind of start off with some techniques, like this is the dungeon tile. So your mini, if you're using 5 foot of movement per inch or 10 foot of movement per inch per tile is the way your mini moves across the board. So that is how that all works. So I'm just gonna and then for storage, all you have to do is put the 2 flat sides. I was thinking I might do fieldstone on the back of this, so that it's a double, so that I have double, or doing brick, so that on this I could go like that, and it would be a wall and dungeon floor situation. So I was thinking of doing brick long ways on here and doing that. But I didn't know what I'm going to do just yet, so didn't want to jump the gun on that. Just and then store them aside somewhere. Somewhere in this room. Just put them there. Okay, so this is what I want to work on tonight. Is my sewer and my lava. So that's what we started working on. That's what I kind of want to continue working on tonight. So I did go ahead and prime this with the black, and as you can see, we've got these higher up, rock formations in the lava stream. So I'm going to actually let's start with this, because we're already started this already. So I'm going to be using the green, the brown, and also I'm bringing in some like custard yellow. So I'm just going to work right out of the containers for this. Just get that on the thing, on the stream. I did change my camera angle so I can see the screen as I'm recording, as I'm streaming, so I can move the thing and not block it, and kind of be aware, spatial awareness of the camera lens versus the actual item. I'm just gonna keep this to the sides. Kind of following the first the initial, all these like areas where wood might be exposed, because I didn't do a base coat of black on this, so I kind of wanted to keep it Really, cat? Really? Wanted to keep it somewhat still like semi-translucent. Okay, I gotta go deal with that. Hold on. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm coming. He'll be crying to come back in a second because he did not wholeheartedly leave. He like just stepped out into the hall. Like, I don't really want to leave, but you're not paying attention to me. You're doing other things that don't involve me, so I don't know how I feel about that. So I'm just gonna go out in the hallway and contemplate out there. Let me know if anything changes. But this way I can show you the dry brushing on these stones. Okay. So while I still have green on loaded onto my brush, I'm going to get my palette out and squeeze some brown onto my palette. So I can kind of get that transition color, mixing the green in for half of it. I can kind of get a greeny brown mixture going on. It's not like green, brown. Just fade it out into the green so that it's not like a stripe of brown down the center. Okay. Alright. Got water. Remember that. Okay, so I am going to be using the yellow, but I want this to set up a little. So I'm going to go into the darkest gray color to do my bricks and my stones. So while that's setting up, I'm going to go into a dark gray. So I control how flat everything is. I'm going to pull this way on the smaller stones so that I can get those separated. It's really just to give it a little bit of a difference between the large brick, like it's a channel of smaller bricks to separate from the icky brackish water that your people. So then the stones are the grid. The larger stones are the grid. Let me just put this. Other side. So I want to do a base coat of the darkest gray just to hit everything. So I did get some green on it, it's fine. The green is also, the green and the brown that I'm using are a satin, so it's going to have a wet look when it dries. Whereas the grays I'm using are a matte, so it's going to have more of a stone-like finish when it dries. Okay. Over. The reason why I'm doing it first on the palette and then bringing it is in case there ends up being like any blobs of color. I don't want that ending up on my stone. I don't want a big blob of dry paint. I'm trying to get the sides and the top of the stone without getting too much on the wood. Is the goal. I don't want to fill in these holes. I want to keep them pretty, because they give like you know, like that the water has created holes in the stone over time, and it gives like a cool bit of texture for your other layers to grab onto. So it's not such a flat. It's not a perfect rock. It's been underground. It's been weathered and see, it's already starting to set up, which is great. Running low, because I need it for my next step. So. But it's good to have, like, to be working on two different ones at the same time, because while one is setting up for the next step, you can start doing first steps on a different one. Yeah. I mean, when I was doing the dungeon tiles, I kind of had like a whole assembly line thing going for it. But you can do these techniques on cardboard. Just when you get to the painting section, your basic black, you don't want to use, like, you want to use a higher density acrylic. Otherwise, your cardboard may, well, most likely warp or ripple. So you definitely don't want to use this kind of liquidy acrylics that I was using. I recommend, like, I used a liquid acrylic, but I recommend something like like this, like a tubed acrylic, or even denser than that, so that it doesn't cause rippling in your, like, this is wood, it's not going anywhere. But if you put, you know, if I put black on exposed cardboard, if it's a very liquidy acrylic, even though that's going to be cheaper, it's going to cause rippling and possibly warpage in my cardboard pieces. So you definitely want something more substantial than that. I mean, yeah, there are other things you can use, but they're more expensive than just a denser acrylic paint. So, okay, alright, let me just, I just want to go over like the edge here, like kind of up close off camera, because I just want to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. To make sure that I've gotten like the side of this. The side of the stone. This is what I'm aiming for here. They were replacing a lot of, or working on, I guess, a lot of roofs of the building across the alley from us today. It's like just non-stop trucks and dust. I mean, it was just noise. It was just noise. Like, just so much noise. And probably a ton of moving violations. It's kind of bad. Right. Now I'm going to actually take a, so that was my shark gray. Yeah. Now I'm going to take a dark gray. It's actually pewter gray. Just going to put a little here. And then in my steel gray, which is a tad bit lighter. Way more than that in the shark gray. Can I open you? Thank you. I don't need that much of that, but definitely need a little more of this. So you can see the density difference. This is like a much cheaper paint, price point wise. Then this is the folk art acrylics. And this is also, this is just a matte acrylic, and this is a multi-surface matte acrylic. So that's also a difference, because this will, you can paint on glass with that. Wood, glass, you know, clay, stone, just all sorts of things, and it will stick. It just looks wrong. Looks like some weird thing is living in it. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my smudgy brush. Wait, this is not the right brush. Where's the smudgy brush? Here it is. So this is just a flat that I have tortured so much that it's now like a smudgy little poof. So there's a lot of noise in this step. So I'm going to do, I guess I could probably get away with doing like 4 at a time. Okay. Oh yeah, another smudgy. Okay, so then this is going to be for the light color smudges. Much lighter hit. But you can see the difference already in the texture of the stones. The faux texture, I guess, of the stones. Not really, not creating much of a texture. But it makes it look like it's got highlights and lowlights and all that good stuff. like much lighter. You can barely hear me touching the first time you hear me like kind of banging the paint on. Now I'm just touching the lighter color on. I'm actually moving my piece by hitting it. I'm getting all those little stones too. This is just creating like a tooth on the stone that will allow me to hit it with the, it's actually called granite gray color. Okay, this around. Okay. That may have been a little too much. Kind of got a little sloppy there, doing that many tiles at a time. Trying to hit them with the lighter color before it just started setting up. 4 is good. And like when I was doing the 1-inch tiles, I did like 3 at a time, I think. You can see the glint of like little bricks and stones on the, just on the edge there. Okay, do you want to put much back into my container? So, actually, now that I've got that on, I'm going to put this aside. Grab that, because we're going to do these stones. Okay. Just deciding where's the stone, where the lava meets the stone, kind of a thing. I want to leave some of this black exposed because lava rock kind of has a black, you know, like the, when you see lava rock, kind of has a glassy, like black finish. Okay. Just going to be moving this all over the place to get in and out of the crannies. Last rock. Let's see. Really dark gray. Alright. My brush. Gonna put that aside to dry. These are fine to hang out on my palette because I'm not going to use a whole lot of it. Okay, I'm going to get back into the green and brown. This time I'm going to mix a little yellow in there. Green is really hard to find. It's called thicket green. I can't even find an olive green. Like, but the struggle is real. Like, I found it on Amazon, and for a 2-ounce bottle, it's like, I think it was like $15. I was like, yeah, no. I will scrape the inside of that thing before I pay $15 for a 2-ounce, you know? I mean, it's like craft. It's craft paint. It's not, this isn't, you know. Like, we're not talking about a tube of custom, of professional acrylics here. Especially when the company itself is saying this is how much it should be. And it's like, but it's not, I guess it's not considered price gouging because it's like from a seller on Amazon. It's not from like, it's not like a Prime thing. It's like a seller buying from a seller on eBay versus like buying from the company. I wonder, well, I should try getting it right from directly from the company. Never even occurred to me to see if they have an online site. And this is just my home studio. This is not where I make my things for work. So it's like a completely different mindset, different skill set. This is just playing. This is like literally. Okay. So I'm trying to think of how I want to do this yellow, because obviously it's too bright right out of the right out of the container. Get some ink. That's brackish. It's not. I kind of want more green in there. Like I want it to look like gross water. And it's a satin, so it's going to dry. Shiny, like wet looking. It's pretty good. Let's see how this looks. I'm gonna just like pull it across. All the strands, opposite direction of the way the strands move. This is just a transition color. I'm gonna go like closer to yellow green in a minute. And then like this, you see this kind of thread thing. I thought I'd put a branch floating there. Some more yellow in here. Just gonna go over it once. And that's my decrepit sewer water. Okay, so then I thought it might be cool to do something with these branches. I go in just with the top of my, just touching where the branches fall. But it looks like there are things floating in this water. Just kind of embrace the branch, if you will. Okay, so then I'm just going to grab some of this gray, I think. Just make a highlight color. Just touching it onto my debris stalks. It's like I know there's another one. Alright, just embracing the chaos. Okay. I'm going to put that aside so I can handle it better when it's drier. Go get the lava back here and work on these colors. So it's different. I'm just going to layer these. Different experience. This is not a flat stone that I'm trying to create texture. There's plenty of texture to be had. But I just want to get any extra off my brush. And against the grain of, like, the lines are moving this way. The lines are moving this way. I want to pull it this way. Against the glue lines. A lot of ASMR stuff happening with this. ASMR dungeon pack. Okay. I'm going to go into the light color while that's still wet. Get any excess globs off my brush. Because I don't want it to be like, the reason why I'm doing it while it's still wet is because I want there to be a line where they meet up and kind of fade into each other. Don't want it to be like a striking line. So it's just going to put a little highlight on really just the edges. And I am going to want to do probably just a little bit of a reflective of probably yellow and orange at the base of these, so that where the lava is meeting it, there is a somewhat of a reflection on the stone, but not on the top. Definitely want to keep the top pretty separate. I'm just going to put the extra back in my container. That's a lot of paint to waste. Okie dokie. And some stuff. Okay, that looks cool on camera. Looks very, like, it has a lot of depth. I mean, I don't see a lot of it because I've got so many spotlights on here that it's just like, it's just all reflecting right back at me. So I'm just like, I hope this looks good. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how I teach people how to do things, so. But, obviously, if I'm working on it by myself, I just have my studio light on. I don't have all these, like, camera spots on and stuff, so. These are actually the same spotlights I use for my game table when I run an RPG online on Discord. Okay, so that's still pretty wet. So while that is setting up, so I don't really want to go in with my reds and my oranges and stuff until like the base of that gray is at least set. Okay, so I'm going to go in. I'm just going to make sure my flat brush is super dry. So just make sure I get all the moisture out here. And this also looks like twigs almost. Like a tree can come out of it. That would be pretty cool. This is what happens to you when you go in the sewer. There are all sorts of dryads and treants into there, didn't you know? Light gray. So this is just my flat. Actually, it's matte. It's not flat. It does have a finish in it, so it will seal the paint. It's not flat. Flat has no sealer in it. So I don't use, generally for crafts, I get some amount of sealer in the paint that floats to the surface and then seals your work so that I don't have to do a varnish or anything afterwards. Because when you start using varnishes and stuff on miniatures especially, they start to get sticky. And that's not really the texture you want when you're handling game pawns and stuff. You know, it's one thing if you're sealing something, you're going to stick it on a shelf, but if you're actually going to handle it and let other people handle it, sticky is not the way to go. Alright, so I've got a very dry brush, wiped off all the excess, and then I'm just going to drag it across and let it grab whatever it's going to grab. Not, like, my goal is not to put color on here. My goal is to put a highlight and, like, let it just naturally grab whatever it is it's going to grab onto. It's a very dry sound. So you can see the difference between these stones and those stones. Just a little highlight. Creates like kind of just a stone texture, highlight on the stone texture that we created with the smudging effect. And always in the opposite direction of how you, like, I glued on this way, so it's always in the opposite direction to grab onto. I might do a whole series of, like, Dungeon in a Box, actually. There's so many new, like, cool, like, shaped boxes now that would work with this height, you know, this wall height. That is perfect for tabletop gaming. So I may do a whole series, honestly. And then I do have a pile of miniatures I have to paint for my RPG. Now that I feel like a little bit more comfortable setting up and not like stressing myself out that way, I may just go ahead and start working on those. I didn't do the player miniatures on live stream because, not because I was like nervous about it, but because I didn't want my players to see them until we were going to be using maps for the first time. Because it's like kind of a player reveal when I run a game and I create the pawns for each player. And it's kind of also good because, like, I have a couple newbies, so that have either played a little or not played at all, or have not played with miniatures ever. So it's kind of like a, oh my gosh, you made that for me moment, you know? And it's like, yeah, this is how I roll, you know? So I'm just going to pull the same highlight. And let it just grab whatever it's going to grab. I'm not trying, like, I'm not aiming for anything, any amount specifically. Just trying to hit everything. To the back of these first. So, Then it just creates, look at that. Look at that. That's gorgeous. I love it. Oh my gosh. I think I missed a spot right here. Okay. I was thinking of doing some glow-in-the-dark paint on the sewer, actually. I think I have some somewhere. I don't know if I want to dig it out on screen. It's like, excuse me while I make a ruckus in my closet, in my supply closet. Okay. Alright, we're gonna go for, gonna keep working here. So I'm gonna do a base coat of, actually that's gonna be too bright for base coat. I'm gonna grab a burgundy-like color first. Yeah, okay, so I've got like a burgundy color to get a nice dark color into our lava. I am gonna leave both, that's crazy. I'm gonna leave some black showing, hopefully, maybe. Oh yeah, that's good. Because I do want there to be some measure of depth happening. This is with the glue, going with the glue strands, following them through. Following the flow, if you will. Going with the flow. Hey. Someone asked me, what would I do if would I still live stream gameplay and stuff like that if I won the lottery? Yes, I would. I would be painting Dwarven Forge right now. Oh my gosh. One day. Looks like blood. It's kind of creepy. Kind of creepy looking. A little gothic, especially with the gray, you know, the stones jetting out. Very gothic looking at the moment. Okay, dry. Dry. Okay. Go into the red. This is red. Cherry. Only because the scarlet and crimson red is more like a blood red. Like if I'm going for a blood red, I'm kind of going for like a neon-y red. I am going to start working against the grain now. Since we put that down, I'm going to start piling on against the grain. This is all satin finish because I want it to look, I mean, not necessarily wet, but, you know, different from the rock. Rock is like matte and like hard, like a hard finish. So I definitely want it to look like a different I'm not mixing, I'm like just putting I'm flattening it on my brush on my palette just so that I don't get any globs in my paint. It's looking more like it's alive. It's alive. Now it looks really bloody. It's not supposed to be blood, people. It's going to be lava once I'm done. Everyone chill out. I'm getting a little squeamish though. Okay. Brush. That looks so gothy. It looks really like, it does not look like lava. It looks very, very, like, do you ever play classic Tomb Raider? The Atlantis area of the gameplay? I love that game. By the way. Classic, the classic one. You know, from like, I think it was like 1995 or something like that. I was a child. Okay. Super fun. Off my rock. Yeah, and yes, I want to be working. I'm not letting my colors dry very much. Like, set up a little bit, but not dry very much in between the colors because I want them to flow together. I want there to be like subtle changes between the red and the orange and the orange and the yellow. So that it looks, you know, like the same stuff. It's not something that's sitting on top of. It's like part of it. Ooh, that looks so cool. don't know if the orange is translating well on the live stream, but real life. It's funny, on the live stream, the rocks look so much, like, so cool. Because you can see all the depth and stuff, but I can't really see it because of all the spotlights. But the spotlights are, like, really picking up the orange, like, the day glowish, like, luminescent in the orange, that it's really coming out nice. Definitely less like it's coming out kind of odd here on stream. I don't know. Okay. It's so weird. Like it's coming off more like a creaminess, and it's so like day glow. It's crazy. Okay. Now I'm gonna use a different orange than I used. I mean, a different yellow than I used last time. This is just a straight up yellow. Like straight up, you know, like Crayola looking yellow. Because I needed it to be as vibrant as the orange. The other one is almost like a pastel compared to this. I'd have to wait for those to set up a little bit. Hitting it too hard, maybe. That is gross noise. It's like a squidgy noise. It's like wet paint and against the grain. So it's getting some highlights. Yellow, molten-y, very orange. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to have to wait for it to set up so I can hit it with maybe some more red and some more yellow. So it's like all kind of becoming an orangey mass. But yeah, so it's not so bad. It looked crazy though when it was all red. That was like disturbing. Alright, well, we can chill for a bit while my paint sets. Maybe I can hit it with the yellow again. I could dig out my rats. So this is the finished sewer basically like a sewer tunnel situation. And then these, it's a 1-inch square, so it's like still following the grid side by side. So you have the center spot, and then like as your players move through, like literally like 1 foot will be on the 1 foot would be on the edge of falling into the water. So it's gonna be some, either they just walk that way, or there's gonna be skill checks to keep from stepping into the water. I can, still pretty wet. I mean, I could use a heat gun, but it's I don't want to heat up it's hot glue. So heat is like using heat to dry your paint, not recommended, because it could melt your glue, especially if you're using a heat gun. Possibly air, like maybe canned air would be would be safe to use. Oh, that's better. So I'm trying to get the orange off my brush. I don't want it to dry, because I want there to be a transition between the orange and the yellow. I don't want it to be... Yeah, that's good. Ooh, yeah, that's great. Let me just drop some spots that I missed that are near the stone. Yeah, great. So just letting it set up a smidge before dropping on the yellow. Otherwise you end up with orangey, you end up with like mac and cheese orange. And you want yellow. So we've got a burgundy orange, pure orange, pure yellow, and pure red to get the lava colors. Okay, that's it. I've got my... I decided I'm not going to do the... I mean, I let some of the colors up on here. Get up onto my stone. You know, just dropping in some color. I don't know. Don't really want it to linger, so I'm gonna just go over. Can I get... Oh, I need gray. Dark gray. Just clean up my stones a little bit. Because it goes up to meet them anyway. And it's going to reflect on them just because of the nature of the paint. If you have like a airbrush handy, you could do like a little bit of a phase if you wanted add color where the lava meets the stone. Fading right there, just so there's like a little bit of the color on there. But I would rather wait for this to completely dry and then to do like a really wash, which I will do on the where the stone meets the lava, but I can't do it now because the paint is still so wet that it would just be a big old mess. It looked like SpaghettiOs by the time I was done. So, a lot of food references, can you tell? But yeah, so those are that's my sewer lava. And that is literally the pressure treated 1/4 inch wood from the wood pile over at Home Depot, where it sells it by the foot, I think, or by the piece, and I cut it into 12-inch pieces right there at the Home Depot because they provide like a miter saw, like a miter box and a saw, so why wouldn't you? And it's like one less step to try and do at home. And I sealed it with a black acrylic paint, and just as my primer. What I'll probably do is some kind of brick on the side, like cobblestone-y, not so much, more like a brick, so that I can flip them over and have, you know, flooring on one side, wall on another, and I can reuse them in different situations. But yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna actually do a whole series of Dungeon in a Box, because now I'm like geared towards it, you know, like now I'm like in the zone for creating those things. And I have tons of hot glue gun, hot glue sticks to burn, if you will. Yeah, so I guess Friday we'll just grab ourselves a nice box and go to town. But thanks so much for keeping me company, and I will see you guys. Well, on Thursday I'm going to be hosting a tabletop D&D game. Starts at 10 p.m. Eastern. It will be on my channel. And then Friday back with lunch break live stream, and then Afterdark art Friday night. Then Saturday is A Pirate's Life, and Sunday Structural Sunday, part 2 of the build we started. That did end up being a glitch. If you were watching on Sunday and I could not get stilt foundations to work, that is apparently a glitch with Mount E from Snowy Escape. They work on platforms but not on houses. So that's why I could get them to work on the platform leading to the house, but I could not get it to work on the foundation of my house. So that's definitely glitched there. So I ended up moving it to Hinford-on-Bagley, to another lot that I had empty there on Hinford-on-Bagley, and they worked like right away. So it's definitely a Snowy Escape issue, one of a few. So, but yeah, so thanks so much, and I will see you guys soon. Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams.